Sasha Banks vs Bailey vs Becky Lynch vs Charlotte Flair NXT Championship. At NXT TakeOver Rival 2015, Sasha Banks wins her first women's title. Charlotte Flair vs Sasha Banks, July 25, 2016 for the Raw Women's Championship. Sasha Banks wins her first Raw Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Sasha Banks vs Charlotte Flair, October 3, 2016, a singles match for the Raw Women's Championship. In this Monday night Raw show, Sasha Banks defeats Charlotte Flair for her second Raw Women's Championship. Sasha Banks vs Charlotte Flair Raw Women's Championship Falls Count Anywhere match. Sasha Banks wins her third Raw Women's Championship in a Falls Count Anywhere match against Charlotte Flair. Alexa Bliss vs Sasha Banks Raw Women's Championship SummerSlam 2017. Sasha Banks defeats Alexa Bliss for her fourth Raw Women's Championship. Elimination Chamber 2019 for the Women's Tag Team Championship. At Elimination Chamber 2019, Sasha Banks and Bailey became first ever Women's Tag Team Champions. Sasha Banks and Bailey vs Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss for the Women's Tag Team Championship. In a SmackDown Live show, Sasha Banks wins her second Women's Tag Team Championship. Asuka vs Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship, July 27, 2020. In this Monday night Raw show, Sasha Banks wins her fifth Raw Women's Championship. Bailey vs Sasha Banks Hell in a Cell 2020, a Hell in a Cell match. Sasha Banks wins her first SmackDown Women's Championship by defeating Bailey at Hell in a Cell 2020. Naomi and Sasha Banks vs Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan vs Natalya and Shayna Baszler vs Carmella and Queen Zelina, WrestleMania 38. At WrestleMania 38, Sasha Banks wins the Women's Tag Team title alongside Naomi.